You have, the Catholic Church that has books that are missing out of the King James Version. I'm just saying.
So let's clear up some things that Anna Paulina has totally screwed up here, and I feel like it's deliberately done. Do you mean to tell me that nobody in the House and the Congress, especially on the Republican side, doesn't know that King James the First is Donald Trump's lineage? Is that somehow supposed to be scary to everybody? I mean, clearly the left knew, because that's why they had to have their No Kings protest. Yeah, Donald Trump's not looking to be a king, but he is royalty. Okay? He never talks about it, but he knows he is. Okay? And I'm not saying that in a bad way. What I want to say to you people in the House and the Senate, King James Bible, when you... See, I think you're up to no good when you start talking about how the King James Version didn't have some of the Catholic text. Well, yeah, that's because King James was getting rid of the popery propaganda. The Catholic Church lied to all of those Protestants. They were going to Latin Mass all these years, and the Catholic Church, just doing hand gestures or explaining the Bible, but they had no way to read it. Then when they read it, they find out, no, you lied to us. Yeah. Because the Catholic Church didn't want anybody to get their hands on the ink and be able to read it themselves, even though that's what Jesus would want, but they didn't. So that's the reason King James got everybody together and said, no, I want all the first century text. I want all of the factual evidence. I want all the popery propaganda taken out of it. I want it put together. It is the most popular. I don't care about I am sick of hearing about the Ethiopian Bible. They just throw whatever in there. Yeah, Enoch, okay, so let's be clear about Enoch. And I've read Enoch. It's not a hidden book. But this is what these people do. They make it seem like, oh, they kept Enoch out on purpose. No, they didn't. It's because Enoch himself, who the book is, said to be from, didn't write it. That's the problem with it. Somebody else wrote it and said, this is Enoch. I bet Anna Paulina doesn't know that. So while she runs around and says, oh, well, the Ethiopian Bible, they're the oldest religion. Again, that's not a good thing. It's really not, because of the fact that God was trying to keep people away from the ancient religions. Yet they do something where they mix the Orthodox in with, and at one point the Orthodox and the Catholicism, they all together, but they're more in this, especially Ethiopia, where it's like this human energy center kind of, yeah, it's all that kind of toying with things. And they, warp the Bible into it. Yeah, so Jesus isn't about all that. He just isn't. But what kills me is that, why don't you look into the history, Anna Paulina? Everybody just assumes because it says the King James Version that it means King James decided, I want to have so much power over the people that I'm going to write my own version. No, that's not what he wanted. That's not. He was pissed off with the popery. That's why they tried to blow him up in Parliament. That's the reason that he enacted the divine right of kings. And he believed in God, so he was taking a risk doing that, because it meant only God could hold him accountable, which means God will hold you accountable for the slightest thing. Yeah, there's a whole thing with the divine right of kings. Everybody just thought King James the First was trying to be a tyrant. No, he was trying to keep order in a very chaotic time, because the Catholic Church lied to everyone. And then the Puritans wanted, more of the Catholic stuff taken out of the Church of England. And he was trying to keep this balance. He was a good king. I don't care what anybody says. He was a good king. Now, his sons, well, they let themselves become influenced by the Catholic Church. He did not. He saw them for what they were. He did. That's the reason they wanted to blow him up in Parliament. I just find it absolutely hard to believe. Do none of you people realize that Donald Trump is direct lineage to Mary Queen of Scots, and Mary Queen of Scots was the mother of King James the First, so they're relatives. Yeah. that why isn't any news ever talked about this? I mean, Iceland did the genealogy. Iceland being the people that would know the most when it comes to genealogy, by the way. They're the best. If you look into that, you'll find out they're the best because they have been around the longest. Yeah, they're like the Vikings, I think. But Donald Trump is related to every native Icelander in some small way. Yep. So why don't anybody in Congress? I mean, I know nobody wants to say it because it's like, oh, we don't have kids. Okay, well, there's nothing wrong with talking about the kings of England, okay? Not all of them were bad. And King James, I'm sure that God has a high seat for him in heaven. I absolutely. He's the most responsible, more than any other church. King James the First is most responsible for spreading Jesus' word the farthest. And that's exactly what Jesus wanted. So people need to get over their idea that every single king is bad. And they need to realize that I just get suspicious with all this, the Ethiopia has the oldest Bible. No, they have a Bible where they put a bunch of stuff in it, and if that works for them, fine. But to say it's the oldest, or because they have Enoch in it, again, Enoch himself did not write the book of Enoch, so there's a bit of a problem there. But there's so many people that want to lead others astray, and I try to sit back and I say to myself, well, maybe Anna Paulina, she's just misguided, but I think, oh no, she's on Rogan. So when they go on Rogan, they have I kind of feel like they all go in the same direction. It seems to be wanting you to believe, because she also says how all the religions in the world seem to center back on the same thing. Yeah, that's a dangerous trap too. I mean, the thing that's, like original about Jesus is he's like, yeah, I'm not about all that other stuff. You can't mix me in with all that. I mean, he was. He didn't say it, of course, exactly like that, but he made it really clear. Yeah, no, I'm not, everybody has free will. They can do what they want, and they can pretend like it's okay to mix all this stuff, and that they think at the end of the day, God's going to say, oh, no, I accept all the religion. No, Jesus made it really clear he didn't. The Old Testament, God made it clear he didn't. I mean, how many different countries was in the Old Testament was God trying to keep the Israelites out of because he didn't want them getting even close to their cultures? So just have wondered for years now why everybody wants to act like, how can she, when she's supposedly a Trump supporter, go on here and talk about how the Ethiopian Bible is the oldest, like it's the most accurate? No, it's the most inaccurate. It is, because they just throw every book in there. King James was diligent. He had scholars, Hebrew and Latin, and everyone. That's the reason it's the most accurate Bible with the most accurate translations, and that's the reason Donald Trump used that Bible, not the Ethiopian Bible, to put the documents for the United States Constitution in it. Yeah, so you'd think that, why would somebody who's in the House, or even a congressman, if she was a congresswoman or whatever, why would they be pushing, like there's something wrong with the King James Bible? No, there's something wrong with the Ethiopian Bible. That's why. So, what are you up to, Anna Paulina? You going down the same road as Marjorie Taylor Greene? Are you a Marxist too? I'm not willing to say that, but believe me, she has an agenda.